And I would add, your comments about Palestinians inside Israel feeling silenced is super apropos our conversation about opening up spaces, which of course is what you're doing at Field Bait. We're gonna move to our next speaker. You know, peace building programs, when we think of them at the meta level, it's a pipeline of creating change makers from young to old, from kids in the elementary school to high schoolers to adults. And this is not happening by accident. This has been going on for years, and you heard a little bit of the connectivity between organizations as people go from one to the next and support each other. We've seen how these programs churn out young leaders. And I think the best example to turn to next would be New Story Leadership. Brings 20-something Israeli and Palestinian leaders to Washington, right here in our community, to intern on Capitol Hill, where they learn about policymaking and they learn how to be advocates. Danelle Cumptom is one of them. She's a recent alum of the program, a US and Israeli citizen and an activist. In response to the war, she and other New Story alumni came together to draft an alternative vision called the Phoenix Plan, which she'll be talking about in one of the discussion groups at more length. But first, Danelle, what was your experience going through NSL? How did it impact you? And what has it meant to be part of that community during this war?
Thank you for that question. I'll talk a little bit about my own personal experience in a moment, but I want to start with mentioning some of the benefits of people-to-people programs, which you've just mentioned some of them as well. And we're all familiar with them. You know, people-to-people programs, they bring people together, they humanize, we get to meet the people from the other side, counteract stereotyping, and generally demonstrate, how what we share as humans is so much greater than what our differences are. And now, more than ever, since October 7, we so very desperately need these benefits. Myself as an Israeli peace builder, I'm witnessing how the ability of the Israeli people or the Jewish Israeli people to empathize with the Palestinians is, whatever ability we had, which was not very much in the past, since October 7 has only been diminishing. So we need these programs so very desperately and urgently, more than ever. And we're all probably very familiar with the challenges of people-to-people programs as well. They're far too few, too small, too short. They're underfunded. There's just getting the people to meet in person is a difficult. Where do we meet? How do we get the people there? Travel issues, visas, not everybody can get a visa. Inclusivity, how do we get all of the people, all of the different communities and social sectors represented in the room? So these are all challenges. The question of normalization as well. So we're all aware of the challenges, we're all aware of the benefits, and we're all aware that we have to find ways to overcome these challenges because the benefits are so great. But I want to expand a little bit on the potential. There's a greater potential, and I would argue that there's a responsibility of people-to-people programs, more than just growing the circles of empathy, more than just getting to know each other on a personal or a human level. People-to-people programs have the potential, and again, I want to emphasize the responsibility to foster shared work, to establish strategic partnership, to provide a platform where Israelis and Palestinians can not only just meet, but work together and address the core issues that are corrupting our respective communities. It's not only about getting to know each other as humans, it's about partnering up and scaling up the work that we can do and scaling up the impact that we can do as individuals or as uninational groups. If people-to-people programs do not do this, If we do not harness this potential, we're doing a disservice to ourselves, to our communities, to the participants of these programs, and to the greater cause. And I'm speaking both to practitioners and donors. This is something that people-to-people programs, a lot of them are already doing, some of them are represented in this room today, but some of them haven't had the opportunity or the resources to scale up and develop into those levels. But thankfully, NSL has been doing just that. After 15 years of bringing young Israelis and Palestinians to DC to learn, to experience decision-making processes on Capitol Hill, and to learn how to use our voices to advocate for what we know Israel and Palestine really need. The program we have been taking it to the next level and realizing this potential, this amazing potential and responsibility that this program and organization has. So just a few days after October 7, a group of us alumni, we came together and we wrote a joint statement, one of the very first joint statements calling for a ceasefire and a release of all hostages that was sent out onto Capitol Hill. But obviously, it was clear to us that that is not enough. We need to do more. We decided we need to get together. We need to write a peace plan, a post-war plan, a sort of Marshall Plan, if you'd like. We need to, politicians are not going to do the work for us. We need to write a plan to how do we establish peace? I mean, most people are so hopeless. There's no vision. Our politicians, our leaders have no vision. We have to create it ourselves. So we got together for 5 days, 10 alumni of the New Story Leadership Program got together for 5 days in Geneva, and we drafted what we call the Phoenix Plan. The Phoenix Plan is a 70-page document. We also have an executive summary, which is only 10 pages. It is a comprehensive post-war plan of how to create a reality that is more conducive to peace. It outlines, it's a visionary document. It describes a vision, which is so very rare and needed right now. There's a vacuum of that particular issue. So it describes a vision of what peace would actually look like, what Israel and Palestine could actually look like. But it's also an actionable step-by-step action plan of approaches and solutions that governments, organizations, decision makers, international communities can do right now in order to promote peace. And I will share a lot more about it in the breakout room later, and I'll be more than happy to answer all the questions about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Danelle.